Man, you've had some obstacles throughout your career too, man. A car accident at 21 that really kind of changed the trajectory of your life. A couple of
Big
broken
time.
legs, a hip, all of that. That spurred on a lot of your playing and writing too, right? Kind of being held up by that.
Yeah, because I was in a pretty bad motorcycle. A lady ran a stop sign in a car and hit me on a motorcycle and busted me up pretty bad. And but it actually put me into music full time because I couldn't work.
Right.
I walked with a cane for 4 years, and
Wow.
you know, it matter of fact, it hurts right now. It still hurts,
Probably when
and
it's cold more, right?
it hurts all the time.
Yeah.
So, and I just, but it's just one of those things, and just learn to deal with it. But the yeah, we just it is a lot of opportunities can come from things like that.
Yeah.
I mean, the very dark cloud was I broke my legs and I couldn't work in a plant. And the plant I worked at for a couple of years, I couldn't do that work anymore. But the very silver lining to that very dark cloud was I could sit on a stool and play a guitar for a living.
Yeah.
So kind of got pushed into it whether I wanted to or not.
Do you feel like your faith helped you get through that darkness too? Like,
Absolutely.
you know what I mean?
Abs- Absolutely, it did. I mean, gosh, I mean, without knowing that God had a plan for me and that He showed His love through the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross for my sin. Shoot, man, I'd be worthless.
Yeah. And man, I was talking about just a series of obstacles in '94. In your record label years, you ended up having brain surgery as well that kind of affected
Yeah.
you and probably still does to this day, I imagine, too, right? What happened with
Well,
that?
yeah, I had a keloid cyst in the third ventricle in my brain,
Yeah.
and they're mostly common, I think, in infants. Um, and it causes hydrocephalus. What's the word? What's the word? Um, Hydrocephalus. I think it's that. But anyway, it causes the what it is there's a cyst, and it's located where it's located, where mine was located, and in infants it's located right next to where the excess brain fluid that surrounds the brain, because the brain is floating in this
Right.
fluid,
Mm-hmm.
and it continues to make new fluid all the time. The excess fluid goes down the spinal column and dissipates into the body. Well, this cyst blocked that
Hmm.
drainage of excess brain fluid, and but the body keeps developing the fluid, and it causes, and in infants it makes the head enlarge because the skull's not developed.
Right.
But with me, it caused extreme headaches, loss of appetite, change of personality,
Hmm.
and I became the meanest man on the planet. And I had surgery for that on May 10th of 1994, and that's the day I had my first number one record. That
Wow.
sounds like a bad made-for-TV movie, doesn't it?
But it's kind of
Hallmark,
serendipitous, though, if you
a
really
little
think
Hall,
about it.
little Hallmark film.
Right? Well, I mean, let's be real, man. Just looking at your career and your life, there's probably three or four of those movies in here, man, to be
Yeah,
honest. Like, you beating cancer in 2019. Like, I remember following you on social media and seeing your step-by-step process through that. I mean, that's a huge thing, just beating cancer and still,
yeah.
not just maintaining your faith, going through all of these things and still giving all the glory, right? But also continuing your life, your music, your art, all of that, man. Like a lesser person would have given up maybe one or two times into these obstacles.
Well, I'll tell you, I haven't talked about this on any interviews, but I had the chemotherapy. I had 8 rounds of chemotherapy and 35 rounds of radiation, and they radiated me from right here up to my chin.
Hmm.
You can kind of see my skin's kind of messed up a little
And
bit,
that's where
but
your vocal
um,
cords are, man. Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, well, last September, I had taken my dually crew cab truck up to the Ford place to get a part put on it. And my wife and I dropped by to check on it, and it wasn't ready. We were ready the next morning. So I ran down there to check on it. I came back and I got in the car. She said, "Well, what's up?" She said, and she says, "Is it ready?" I said, "No, it'll be ready tomorrow." And she said, "Okay, well, shut the door. Let's go." And I sat there, and she said, "Will you shut the door and put your seatbelt on? Let's go." And I sat there, I looked at the door and I said, how do you shut the door?
Huh.
She said, would you quit goofing around? We got to go. Put your seatbelt on. And I looked. And I was like, how do you put a seatbelt on? She's like, your sugar has dropped through the floor
Yeah.
because I'm diabetic.
Yep.
Well, so she told me I got it all done. And we went to the house and I ate and I laid down and took a nap for 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And I woke up and she said, Brian called, the manager called. She said, call him back. So I picked up my phone and my phone's here and I couldn't hit the buttons. I couldn't, my finger wouldn't go where I was looking at. She called her neighbor who's a doctor. So she ran over to look at me. She goes, she did some checking and stuff. She said, I think you ought to go to the ER. So I went to the ER and ding dang, I was having a stroke.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And ends up right here, the carotid artery,
Hmm.
the radiation had caused
A
a,
clot,
no,
blockage, kind of thing.
an,
Aneurysm.
an aneurysm in the carotid artery.
Wow.
And that little bubble, where it kind of blown out some, the blood was circulating and getting caught circulating in there and starting to gel up.
Yeah.
And some of that gelled blood would slip out every now and then. And it was enough that it caused a stroke.
Wow.
And but they couldn't figure it out for a long time. They just put me on all these blood thinners and everything. And I went and did Christmas tour and everything. And I mean, that was in September, and they finally figured it out when I got home. And right before I got home, they figured it out. And New Year's Eve, I had surgery. They went in and put a stent in and opened me up here and went in. And it, it's just crazy, you know. And still singing.
Yeah. Still touring, still doing all the things you do, man. Like
Yeah.
just a survivor. Just a survivor. Um, I love that, man. There's so much to you as well. Like, I was obviously doing a lot of reading and research on you. There's so many different titles, like you said, pilot, like singer, songwriter, recording artist, author, TV host, podcast host. Like, you've done so much things over the course of your life and career. It's just such a remarkable story. And you're still touring, still maintaining the passion for your art. Are you still writing at 65?
A little bit. I've got a few ideas for some things. We're kicking around the idea of doing another record, and we'll see. And I got some ideas. If I don't know, we'll see if I can get a right producer to work with me. And so,
Yeah.
but,
It just never stops, right? You can't just stem the flow of creativity and expect anything good to happen
well,
from it.
it's not the easiest thing in the world to do because creativity it you need it requires, at least for me, and I think for most artists, it requires acceptance.
Hmm.
You want your art to be accepted and you want people to enjoy it and like it. And fortunately, I've had some folks like yourself who've um, always been interested in what I do and appreciated my work. And but then other markets where I just have to beat people up to listen to me,
Hmm. Yeah,
and it's tough.
it
It's a
is.
tough gig. And it's like people say, "Oh, you can't take it personal." I take it personal.
You have to though, and like you
Yeah,
said, it because your art is gonna be personal. It's vulnerable.
yeah,
It's putting your soul out there for the world to consume. So yeah,
yeah.
trying to keep it professional and just business like is damn near impossible, man. And that's why it's
Sure is.
it's like it's hard to be an indie artist because you have to separate the creative side from the business side and try to be productive on both sides of that coin.
Yeah,
It's got to be difficult,
yeah.
obviously.